Well, finally, after a very long walk around and through some very rough thing, I'm back at one of my sites. Now I was going to come to this site first and then head round the other way, and then I thought, you know what, I'll cut round that way first and then drop in here on the way home and do some food then, because I'll be in need of some food. Right, now for all those people that watch my videos, I'm just going to put that there for a second. Well, let's do that again, shall we? I broke my piece of Velcro, so now I've used a piece of paracord to tie that on there with. So all you do is you take a stick like that one, bang the end into the ground. Unfortunately the ground is pretty hard at the moment, so it's not really in the ground that far, so that was what the trouble was. It twisted too much and snapped. So I like to better bang that stick, the angle stick, into the ground, but unfortunately that one didn't work, so I've tied it on. Hopefully we'll have more success for this one. So, boot. That way you can get two hands on the saw then, yeah? Yeah, see, this is not in the ground. That needs to be in the ground. The ground is a lot harder at the moment because we haven't had any decent rainfall for ages. So now I have a hammer. Let's see if I can fix that problem. There we go. Let's try that. That might work better. That works better. So you can just carry on cutting away as much as you want. Easy, isn't it? So I need 3 logs for my fire base. I think I will leave this hooked up here. It's coming up for winter, so we're going to be covered in snow here soon. So I'll leave that there for a minute. Yeah, I think I will leave that hooked up like that. I found a few more rocks on the way in, so yet another couple of rocks in my fire pit, and that, believe it or not, is the easy way to cut wood. So what you need to do is bang that end into the ground. The ground's pretty black at the moment. It's not very soft at all, so it took quite a bit of beating to get that in the ground. So I might just leave that set up like that, and that way I've got my sawhorse ready to go to cut up wood when I need it. Right, let me get my fire pit and what have you sorted out. As always, you know what I'm going to say: before you light a fire, know how you're going to put it out. And that 4 litres, 5 litres of water there is how I'm going to put it out. So, as always with my campfires, make sure you know you're going to put it out before you light it. I have my usual cotton ball in here. Put some logs in the bottom of the base. Trusty fire steel. Hopefully get a spark to land on there. There we go. As I've said many times before, with the cotton balls, once they're away, they're away. Yeah. Very simple method of getting the fire going. Don't have to mess around with it too much. I have some small bits put on here. Chuck a few of them on that. Squirrel's getting upset already. Now if you put a couple of layers of logs on there, like those 3 logs I got in there, they're going to last for ages. Once I get those hot, they'll burn for a long time. I want a fire today that I don't have to do much with. Yeah, that's a long way I've walked to get here. The route I took to get here, normally it's about 5 kilometers to get here. The way I came today was probably about 8 to 10, I guess. So I'm a little bit late in the day getting to where I normally am. There we go, done. That's all I need to do. Like I say in the past, make sure that you put all your gear away so that you're ready to go should you need to. I don't like having lots of stuff pack hanging in the tree because there's bugs on the ground and the ground's a little mossy. So I will have my most important rations right there. See, tea. Right, so I've walked a very long way, so I think I have earned a cup of tea. So I'm going to sit down on my super comfortable bench and have a cup of tea. So fire is away, my sawhorse is set up over there, so we all know what time that is. Fire, feet, cup of tea. Doesn't get much better than that. You have to do this, right? This is what I call a peace of mind campfire. This is not a campfire to teach you any amazing stuff, although hopefully you can learn something like how to cut up firewood. That is the easiest sawhorse to make. I see people doing all kinds of stuff, jamming it underneath their knees and all this other kind of crap I keep seeing on bushcraft videos. That is really dangerous to do that. Don't ever do that, because if you slip, you bust a knee, you rip a knee out in the middle of nowhere, trust me, that's one piece of firewood you'll be glad you never ever cut. So never do it that way. Easier just to take a stick, tie it to the tree. Unfortunately my Velcro did break on my first go there, but I've tied it on with a bit of paracord now, so that ain't going nowhere. And at the end of the day I should just untie it, roll it all back up. I'll leave the stick banked in the ground, I think, but I don't like to leave bits of cord laying around and what have you, so I will undo that. I have plenty of tea. Once I get the fire going, I will cook up some food. Although I didn't bring my toasty fork with me today, so I've got to either cook it on a hot rock or just stand them next to the fire, which because I don't have the fire right up against those rocks, the rocks don't get super hot, so the cooking food on them is you're cooking food on whatever bugs and dirt and crap is on the ground. So personally I don't have any other way of doing it. What I will do is just have my sausage rolls cold. I've got sausage rolls, I've got really nice grapefruit as always, and I have some snacky bars and what have you, but I think I really need to have a sausage roll because I'm hungry after that walk. Show you what I've done here. Right, we've got quite a lot of good hot coals in there now. These logs, when you light them, you have them all tight together, because if there's any damp in their soil, you don't want it coming up through your fire, because it'll help cool your fire. You don't want that. So now I've got it going, what I've done is I've opened up these ends. See this? Just open them up. You only need to open up about an inch, so all the coals now will fall down into that gap that starts to heat the logs from the sides, traps a whole bunch of those coals in there. And this is how you make a good slow burning fire that you don't have to keep piling loads and loads and loads of wood on to try and keep it going. Building them like this, they would actually keep going for a very long time all on their own. Now what I have noticed is my sky is turning grey, but to be quite honest, I really don't care, because it's not supposed to rain too much today. I do have my wet weather gear with me. Now I know that there are people shooting in the area, so if you notice I'm in highly visible camouflage mode, which is why my pack is in the tree. I've got my hat and a pole. Okay. Anybody walking through here it's blatantly obvious there are people here. So anytime you're out and about and you know there's people shooting in the area, when as I passed those guys on the trail, I said hello to them. I told them where I was going. I know where they've gone. I heard another shot probably about half hour ago, 45 minutes ago, so I know exactly where they've gone. There's not really anywhere else down that trail that you can actually go, so I know where they've gone, so that's fine. I'm going to leave my sawhorse set up. I will take the cord off before I go, but I need to cut up some more wood. I do have some wood stashed over here. I always like to have a pile of wood. If I ever find myself out in places like this, I have them stashed all over the show. See, I've got that one over there ready to cut. I've got that one there. If you look here, I've got more stacked up in the trees. So these great big, these are all dead as dodos, these things are, and they were all pretty much laying on the ground. So in the winter, what you want to do is just stand them up against the trees, yeah, like that, so the wood's up off the ground, because once there's a foot or so of snow on here, they're really hard to find, and then of course all your wood is wet. But if you look all around here, another couple down there I've stood up against the trees, it really does make a difference if you just stand them up against the trees, keep them dry, and for your winter firewood, that's what you need. So I always have a stash of wood, because if I'm out here and it's minus 30 and I'm in the middle of bloody nowhere and I get into trouble or whatever, I know I have sites. I've got sites all over the mountains where I know I can go put up a shelter. There are things, there's materials that I keep there hidden away, stuff's already cut, ready to go. I've got wood for a fire. I know where all the firewood is here, and then I'm ready to go. So it's a good survival thing to know how to do, and it's certainly good planning, future planning. And if you don't leave loads of man-made crap laying around, at the end of the year I'm taking these fire buckets out, because once this ground's covered in snow I don't need them. So all that kind of stuff is going. That'll all come home with me. I don't know whether I'm going to keep this site up for the winter. I don't know. I will see how easy it is to get in here, because this site you can either have a foot of snow or you might have 4 feet of snow. Well, this is 4 feet of snow, I'm not coming. So I will see how that's all burning down in amongst those logs now. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, and that's a perfect spot to use the blow tube. A friend of mine bought me this. I think I showed you this in the other video. I will just unwrap this. It does come with a rather nice little fire steel in the end. You try doing this one-handed. Look at that. There's a little fire steel in the end there, so that's always good. And then extend that out. Really doesn't take much of a breath through there. See how those big logs underneath there are starting to burn that. Really cool. This is a really good tool. If you don't have one, get one. They are absolutely brilliant. Like I say, a friend of mine bought me that. That was absolutely fantastic. Made up with that simple tool. I used to have an old antenna off a radio that I had for years and years and years, but I can tell you it does not work as well as this does. Right, I'm going to sit down, stop waffling, and have another cup of tea, I think. Right, so you can see I've got the fire there. One of the things that people don't really appreciate with coming out to places like this, that route I took to get out here this morning, very, very rough route. I mean, if you fell over and hurt yourself in there, you'd be in trouble, like big trouble. So, although it's a beautiful blue sky day when you set off, headlamp, make sure it's in your pack. Do I need it? Probably not. Am I likely to use it? Nope. But if I fell over and I hurt myself out in where I was, and I couldn't get out of there, having that light with me can really make a huge difference. Not only for morale, but also for if somebody happens to be out looking for you. If you suddenly see a light in the forest where there shouldn't be a light, it kind of stands out pretty good. The other thing is, as I always say to people, this has got a really good mirror on it. This is a fantastic little, it's one of those little Sanutos or Suntos or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, brilliant compass. For years and years and years I had silver compasses. I had a really nice one, but that went missing. I think somebody had that away. This one is really good. Double function, it's got the mirror. And the idea of the mirror is, people are often, they have a misconception of this mirror. What this mirror does is enable you to look through this little hole at the bottom here and look at the heading at the same time. So you set this back on itself at about 45 degrees. So when I'm taking my sight in through there, through this nice little hole at the front, I can look in the mirror and hey presto, I can see the heading. So in here, let me just line this up to north. North is over here. Yeah. So all the clouds coming from the west. North is that way. Yeah. So if I was taking a bearing of say north-northwest or whatever, I can come up through here, tip that over 45 degrees, take my sight in through the little hole on wherever I need to get to, my next waypoint that I can see in the distance. I can look at my compass, I can make sure that that is set on north, so I can think, okay, north-northwest, there we go, that way, done. Yeah, easy, 45 degrees off to north, easy. So that's what the mirror is for. However, it also, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you get something in your eye or whatever, really handy to have a mirror. If you was stuck on top of a mountain somewhere, or you're somewhere a nice sunny day, you can look down across a valley, you can put the target between your fingers like this, you do the Spock thing, the Next Generation or whatever, anyway, Spock, put it like that, put the target between your fingers, get the sun in the mirror. What you're going to do is you're going to reflect the light onto your hand and towards the gap in your fingers. Then once you've got it there, you can just take it out, 3 flashes. I need help is basically 3 flashes. I hear people all the time, you know, oh, it's SOS and all that kind of stuff. It's not. SOS is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's one of those things that that's not what the 3 flashes are. The 3 flashes are, I'm in trouble. So with the whistles, I got numerous whistles and what have you with me. 3 blasts on the whistle. You hear that out in the forest or out in the mountains somewhere, somebody's in trouble. And then you can respond with 2 blasts or 1 blast, I'm on my way, or and you can 2 blasts, come to me, and all that kind of good stuff. So it's you can use a mirror for many functions. You can use a whistle for many functions. So it's a good thing to have with you. Do I need them today? No. Do I know exactly where I am? Yeah. Based on where the sun was, within half a kilometre, I knew exactly where I was, and half a kilometre in these forests, it doesn't really matter which way I go. I soon find myself in a valley that I know very well, and also some valleys that I know to avoid because they're very wet. So it's a handy thing to have. Do I need them today? No, but I have them. I've got them with me, always charged up, ready to go. I'm going to stick I love these ones because you stick them on the back. The battery pack's on the back, and in the top of most packs there's that nice little pocket right at the top. You can put a flexible cord in there, straight into here. You can use it as a pass-through. I don't have to worry about how long the batteries last. They will last me all night if I have to. And this thing is so light, you don't even know you got it on. But again, do I need it with me? No. Do I need my compass? No. But I have it just in case. And the number of people I see heading off out into the mountains with absolutely nothing with them whatsoever. You know, you see them with one of these little tiny, if you're lucky, you see them with one of these little water bottles out of a vending machine, and you're like, what exactly are you going to do with that if you get stuck out in the mountains? Absolutely nothing. So always make sure, even though I know where I'm coming today and my trip is only supposed to be a day, you never know, it might turn into an overnight. If something really bad happened, you twisted your knee, bust your ankle, whatever, it can very quickly turn into an overnight, and then you're going to wish you had your gear with you. So always take everything with you. That's why everything's in my pack. I got water buckets in there, first aid, I got tarps in there. I'm not putting up a tarp today, no point. So it's unless it starts pouring hard with rain, and then I will, but I don't really need it at the moment. So always make sure you got all your gear with you. People always say to me, why do you carry a full pack all the time? And that is exactly why. I weighed it all the other day, and on average it weighs 35 to 40 pounds. With my kit belt, it's 35 to 40 pounds. So that's actually nothing really for wandering around the mountains. And trust me, the day you need it, you'll be very glad you got it. So I will sit and watch this fire slowly burn. That's how you want a fire. You don't want a big raging flames all the time, because that takes a lot of wood to keep that going. there's so much heat in that fire now. Those 3 big logs in the bottom are bone dry. They're all burning nicely now. They're all hot coals. They're all just glowing in there nicely. Yeah. Pop that back in there in a moment. But somebody said to me the other day that my videos aren't very exciting. Well, they're not meant to be exciting. I promise you, I'm never coming out here in a bikini cutting firewood for clickbait. That's never going to happen, trust me. Everybody, YouTube would crash. You'd go, oh no, quick, turn it off. Yep, so that's never going to happen. You're never going to see me out here swinging an axe like a crazy thing in the middle of winter trying to cut down a tree that I can cut down really easily with a saw. Yep, no mention of any names, but anybody that follows this will know who I'm referring to. Use the right tool for the job. I have one of the world's best wood saws for this, like the Silky, this thing. I have cut, I couldn't even tell you, no idea how much wood I've processed with this saw. Is just insane. I did break one blade. Anybody that's followed my videos will know that I broke one blade. That was many years ago. I was extremely tired. I'd walked a very long way and I leant forward. These blades only cut on the pull stroke. So I leant forward and I heard it go tink. I thought, oh god, that's a bad sound. And sure enough it was. But that's the only time I broke a blade. I've never had one of these blades break. You hear all this when I was first reviewing these things. It was, oh yeah, the blades break all the time. It's not. It was the people using them. They weren't using them correctly. The Japanese know how to make a blade. Trust me, they've been doing it for a long time. They are very good at it. Oh, I'm just going to knock a couple of those ends back down the gaps. Like so. With this kind of fire, now I've got the logs burning between the logs. I've got material burning between the logs. This is so easy to keep going. You can just chuck a few bits in there every now and again. Burns through. But I can tell you now, that is chucking off some seriously good heat. Yeah. Be no good as an overnight fire, because you just can't get enough wood in there. But if you was awake half the night, you could keep going, but very rarely, unless it's in the middle of winter. And if it was in the middle of winter, the logs I'd be burning would be about this long. I'll see if I can do one of those for you this winter. The logs would be about this long and about this round. You want a good stack of, you got 3 in the fire. Every time you replace them, you want to at least add 2 more. So you need about 15 to 20 decent logs, like this size and that round, and good firewood to get you through the night. If you don't have that, you're in for a very cold night. Yeah. Right, let's give this battery a rest. I'll do some more in a minute. Isn't it quiet? Listen to that. Not a sound. Lovely, isn't it? And this is why I come here. Listen to that. You're probably thinking, I can't hear anything. And that is exactly the point. Can hear nothing. Nice, isn't it? A couple of birds in the trees. Occasional squirrel. Slight crackle of the fire. See how little effort it takes to keep that fire going. That's the same 3 logs, just a few bits down between them. As you can see, let's just move them in a touch. Encourage them to burn. Like I say, anytime I'm out there like this, I never leave with logs in the bottom net. That'll be nothing but ash by the time I go. It's going to be here a while, I think, for this one. I have just topped up my wood pile a bit and cut some more of those up. I'll cut up some more of this one before I go. But, like I say, I see people making all kinds of, you can make a full-size sawhorse that you can stand up, and you can like tie it up at working height between 2 trees like this. That's not a problem. And you can use the same technique. You can use 2 logs like that, sticking up at an angle, just have 2 of them. So now your wood is at working height. The only problem with that is, generally speaking, you can only cut with one hand. The advantages of having it down at the ground, like that at ground level, is I can put my boot on it. I've got a lot of stability there. I'm pushing against the tree. It's wedged on that little piece of wood here. hey presto, really efficient way of doing it. And chances of you injuring yourself doing it, pretty much nil, really, pretty much nil. But that's a good distance off the ground for the first lot of snow. Not too worried about that. I haven't heard any more people around, so I can probably put my hat away in a minute. If you can't see that hanging up in the forest, then you shouldn't be out in the forest. That's the other reason I like my orange pack. It's very quickly coming up to the time of year where I'm going to have to swap out packs. I'll have my other pack then, because my other pack has what I call my winter survival stuff in it, which has way more gear in it than this one. This one's good for like a summer pack, and it's got everything I need if I need to stay the night or whatever. Everything's in there. It's perfect. However, if in the winter you need a little bit more gear, because around here -20, -30 is not fun. If you don't know what you're doing, you can very, very quickly get into trouble. So my sunshine is coming back out. My grey clouds are slowly disappearing, look. My fire is chugging along nicely. It's burning through those last bit of logs. I still have some tea left. The world is good, let me tell you. As long as you've got tea, you're out in the forest, doesn't matter. You could be starving to death, you could have eaten for 3 weeks, doesn't matter. As long as you've got tea. Tea's good. Yeah, actually you need a little bit more than that. Generally speaking, you can go 3 days without water, and you can go 3 weeks without food before you die. I hear all these people saying, oh, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. You're not. You just want some food because you're used to having 3 meals a day. But if you were really hungry, trust me, you'd eat anything, including trees. So there are some trees that you can actually eat the bark. You know, if you look at the aspens, you can actually eat that crap. But let me tell you, it tastes like I tried it once just for the sheer hell of it. It tastes like garbage, but apparently it will keep you alive. So whatever. Yeah, that would be an absolute last resort. But yeah, generally speaking, you can go 2 to 3 weeks without food, and you can go about 2 to 3 days without water. Water is the most pressing thing that you have. After about a day with no water and no fluids in your body, your mind starts making really weird decisions, and not good decisions. You know, you start getting dizzy, disorientated. You're not really sure what you're doing. You will start taking risks that really you shouldn't be. So always make sure you got your water. And like I say, in my winter pack, I've got all my water filtration stuff in there and all that kind of stuff. But in the winter, you're usually surrounded by snow. So you can actually warm the snow up. You hear all these people say, oh, you shouldn't eat snow, it cools your core temperature down. It does. But trust me, if it's the difference between you staying alive and not, I can tell you, you will eat snow just in small quantities. Just put a little bit in your mouth, let it defrost. Don't put it on top of your tongue or under your tongue, because you'll end up with brain freeze, and that hurts. So just a little bit in your mouth, let it melt. Another little bit, let it melt. Don't start eating mouthfuls of snow, because trust me, that's not good for you. That will cool you down. So little bits, little bits, little bits. It's like everything in life. Little bits in moderation. That's my I'm in the forest. You can't really normally I don't have stuff hanging up trees like that, so I prefer to have it on ground level. Yeah, however, there are people shooting around here today. I heard some people hunting earlier, and I bumped into a couple up the trail there. And however, good idea to just hang some stuff up just so people know. Yeah, got all my usual gear with me. I'm not going to review any of that, because obviously everybody knows what I have with me by now if you follow my videos, even though people say that some of them are boring. These aren't made as exciting videos. They're not supposed to keep you hanging on the edge of your seat for like 5 hours. These are just, come along with me in the forest for a day. This is what I do. This is where I go. You know, it's nothing exciting. No earth-shattering things happening here, I'm afraid. Yeah. Right. Just enjoying this. More people should do this, because this is so quiet. It's absolutely amazing. It's brilliant. All I can hear is a crow in the distance. Right. And I think I have at least one more cup of tea left. Perfect. Now, one of the things I do with that campfire, as it progresses, you can see I had the 3 logs in the bottom there. You can see they're all burning through very nicely. You eventually get to the point where there's not a lot of actual wood left in there. A lot of it's just charcoal now. So what I do is I just turn them around like that, stack them up, and then the heat that's concentrated between those logs, you'll be surprised how quickly it burns off that last bit. It really does. The other thing that's really getting up now, the wind is beginning to get up in the forest. I actually have some wind in the trees now. That's an amazing sound. can hear it. Well, it sounds like water flowing down a stream, because it's basically what it is. It's just a fluid flowing off the mountains. Flows down through. It's more noise now. The crows are getting more vocal, the squirrels are getting more vocal. The sun is up there somewhere, so it's somewhere past midday o'clock. I'm going to guess probably 1, 2 o'clock actually, if I had to guess. Probably somewhere around there, which is fine. It's about 5 kilometres from here, back out of here when I leave, so not too worried about that. It's a reasonable walk, but it's a very nice walk. It's way easier than the walk I took to come in here. Yeah, I'm not going back that route. That's a route I need to walk many, many times with my clippers in hand to clear that trail out. That's a trail that used to be a good trail, but it has become so overgrown. Really, you need somebody up in there with a chainsaw or a proper brush cutter just to clear that out. You can remove a certain amount with a pair of hand clippers, but with my hands today, I've got blisters on my fingers. I must have cut literally hundreds and hundreds of little branches today. Clear the trail out, but at least it is now a lot clearer than it was. And that's what I do. If I walk a trail that hasn't been walked for a long time, I clear trails. I've been maintaining trails for, Christ, 25 plus years now. When did I move here? Yeah, probably 95. So yeah, 25 plus years. And that's what I'll do. I walk along a trail and I just keep cutting bits off. If there's deadfall on the trail, I clear it all off. And it just keeps the trails maintained. These trails out around this way just nobody ever uses them, hardly ever. So if they don't get used, they don't get maintained. So my plan is to, every time I go somewhere, I just clip them off, maintains the trail. And also, if anybody else is wandering through the forest and they find a trail that's got freshly cut branches or branches that are cleared back, they go, oh, okay, this is a trail that people use. Sometimes let's follow it. You know, they could be lost and then come across a trail that's been cleared and maintained. And they give them a sense of hope that at least they're going in the right direction. Right, I'm going to shuffle these logs around a bit, break them up a touch because there's a lot of charcoal in there, and then go from there. This gives you an idea of how to build a very long lasting fire out of basically 3 logs. This has been burning now for a good 2 to 3 hours, and as you can see, still going. You don't have to do much with it. Once you get it going, once you get some heat in there, you'll be surprised. I see these people building campfires and they're forever putting wood on it. Just keep stoking it and stoking it and stoking it. And but if you know how to build them, you know how to basically get the wood to do the job itself, you'd be surprised. So all I've done now is just lent that other log, the one that was laying on the ground, I've lent it up against the other one, let the air underneath it, and hey presto, that one will burn good now. So those 3 big logs that I put in it, they're the only big bits that I've put on there. Everything else has been like little bits. But as you can see, still going strong. Loads and loads of heat in that fire still. Yeah, other than the smoke that's now coming my way. The wind is definitely getting up in the forest, which is really nice. I love that sound. And I will just sit here and watch it continue to do its magic. I've left my sawhorse set up over there. Like I say, winter's coming, so it's always a good idea to make sure you have the ability to cut up firewood when you get out to your site. Nothing worse than having to rummage through snow to try and find some decent firewood. So plan ahead. Yeah, I don't know how far into the winter I will keep this camp going. But this is one that's on the way to somewhere and on the way back from somewhere that I quite often go. So it's a good spot. That's why you'll see me come to this one several times, because it's actually on my way to other places that I go. But it's actually not a bad place for me to come into. Yeah, still have my gear hanging up. Need to have another drink of water. Listen to that wind. That is amazing, eh? Can't odds that. People do ask me why I do this. Well, this is exactly why. But this bucket actually makes a pretty good little tripod too. Set that up on my tripod right there. There we go. It actually makes a very good little tripod. You can't odds it. Have a glug of water. I have plenty of water with me now. I will probably put the rest of that water on the fire as well. I always save a bit in the bottom. Like I say, you never know how long are you going to be in the mountains? People set off into the mountains with the expectation of only being there half a day or whatever, you know, but you never know. Anytime you come out to places like this, you don't know, something bad could happen, and next thing you know, you're spending the night out here. So always make sure you have enough gear with you to do exactly that, and also the mindset to do that. I'm very happy sleeping in the forest. I don't care, especially this forest, because there's no large dead fall trees that are going to fall on you. There's one over there that is about 5-6 inches round, and that tree is solid as a rock, and it's also surrounded by other trees, but that is about the only one here that's going to fall on you. So it's actually not a bad spot, which is why I come here. So if I had to spend the night here, I could. It's now much more developed than when I first, because this was actually pretty dense in here, but now, as you can see, I've cleared it out a bit. It's now a good camp spot. It lets a bit of air through the forest. Still enough trees and that around you to moderate the airflow. I mean, sitting down here at the ground level, I can hear the wind up in the top of the trees. It's really nice. But down here at ground level, there ain't a lot. Yeah, that's exactly what you want. I suspect my water source, which is down that way, I suspect my water source is probably pretty dry this time of year. That swampy bit that I came through earlier on in the video, that is normally really swampy, and as you can see, it wasn't today. There was still plenty of water in there, trust me. If you take a wrong step, you're going to end up with mud and water up to here, which is not pleasant. So look at that, that's burning right through there now. So just move them around every now and again, stand one log up on top of the other, and you'll be surprised how long that will last. Like I say, I see people building campfires and they're forever piling on wood, piling it on, you know, absolutely heaps of wood. I mean, you know, you take a tree like that one over there, you know, you cut that, you can burn through that in a day, easy. If you keep piling it on there, it'll burn through it in a day. But you don't need that. If you know how to make the wood in the fire last longer, there's a squirrel over there watching me. If you know how to make the wood last longer, as you can see, I've got the same 3 logs on there that I lit the fire with, so, and they're still burning good. And I'm not going anywhere until they've actually burnt through. So all I'm doing now is actually just waiting for them to burn through. It forces me to sit still. I tend to have trouble sitting still. I like to be out and about doing things and being very busy and all that kind of stuff. There was a deer went up through the wood over here just now, a big white-tailed deer. A lot of those around here, which is why my socks are tucked in here, because there are deer ticks around. As far as I know, don't quote me on this, as far as I know, the only case of Lyme disease verification in ticks that they had around here was at a mountain called Mount Yamnuska, and that is a very popular hike. So if you're heading up that way, tuck your socks in. Yeah, always a good plan. You don't want that crap. That lives with you for the rest of your life. So, yeah. Look at that. All that heat that's underneath that log. If I roll that log over now and then put the other one on top of it, it'll burn exactly the same. But what I tend to do is I'll now take my little pointy stick, break up all the charcoal, and once I've got it down into little chunks, I turn the unburnt ends into the middle, and that burns through, and then all you end up with is a pile of coals in the bottom and nothing that can burn. And that's exactly how you should leave a campfire. Before I leave, it will have all this water on it. Make sure that's out. Yeah. Never ever walk away from a campfire. If you can't see that campfire, you're too far away from it. And unfortunately, people do. And, some 60% of the fires that we've had all those big forest fires and what have you, and 60% of those are actually caused by people. So if you take off 60% of the total fires that we've had this year, people say, oh, it's the worst fire season ever, it's the worst fire season ever. But if you take off the accidentally caused fires, the deliberately caused fires, and there seems to be a lot of that around, and if they catch those people, trust me, that gets very expensive for them. They're going to wish they'd never gone down that road. Because if you light a, like this fire, if I have this fire and then say for instance this forest all caught fire, I'm responsible for that. and I can be held financially responsible for that as well. And trust me, putting out a forest fire is a very expensive process. So that's how our system works. If you are negligent in what you do, you can be held responsible for putting out that fire, and it gets very expensive very, very quickly. So a lot of those fires were deliberately set by people, and you look at the devastation that they've caused. And then you always get the idiots that walk away from campfires. You get people burning garbage that just set fire to the garbage in their burn barrel and they just walk away from it. And they're surrounded by tinder-dried grass. Well, let me tell you, in this wind, in a grass fire, that goes through there faster than you can run. So let me tell you. So people need to be a little bit responsible. Fire is a tool. It can keep us warm. It can cook our food. It can do all kinds of amazing things. You can treat wood with it so that you can make fence posts and all that kind of stuff so they don't rot. If you heat the end of a fence post, angle it. If you heat the end of a fence post in the fire, so you just blacken it up and then let it cool down. You put that in the ground, they won't rot. You don't need to soak them in all these chemicals and stuff. We used to do that all the time. So the wind keeps blowing the trees behind me. I keep hearing them creak, so I keep looking around. So always have your ears open in the forest. If you hear sticks breaking or whatever, pay attention. Yeah. Like I say, this is bear country. There are grizzly bears and black bears up in here. So you don't tend to, if they know you're here, they ain't coming anywhere near you. Yeah. But, very rarely do you ever have an encounter. I'd say for 27 years I've been wandering around these mountains doing this, and I've only ever come really close to 2 grizzlies. I've had a couple of cougar incidents. I have one that I had to actually scare off. The only thing I've ever had any trouble with is a bloody moose. I hate moose. They're very nice to look at from a very long distance away, but other than that, don't get anywhere near them in the forest. They are not pleasant animals to be around. They just really don't seem to like people. And it was the wrong time of the year for me to be in that moose, and he chased me right out of there. He didn't want me in his territory, and he made it very clear. So that was the only incident I've ever had. I've literally walked past black bears 40-50 feet away. I came down the trail, I had absolutely nowhere to go, sheer drop down one side, nowhere to go whatsoever, and there was literally 40-50 feet away there was a black bear eating, and he's just munching down on dandelions and whatever. Bear spray in hand, just walked around facing the bear, walked away from him, just talking gently. Bear kind of gave me one of these looks, carried on eating his dandelions. Thought, as soon as I got a decent distance away, but trust me, I'll wake you up real fast. But again, they're not particularly bothered by people. The only bear that I would never want to have any contact with whatsoever is a polar bear, because they don't care. You can spray the crap out of a polar bear with bear spray, you ain't going nowhere. You're going to run out of bear spray and then he's going to come and eat you. So yeah, don't ever mess with a polar bear. Do not treat a polar bear the same as you would any other bear. Grizzly bears can be really temperamental. You've got to get them on the right day. I came within about 50 feet of a grizzly bear on a fairly popular trail actually, and the bear took off, and that's exactly the response you want. But polar bears, no, they are a completely different animal. They don't eat vegetation, they only eat meat, and you are meat, so they will eat you. Yeah, you don't want to mess with a polar bear. Fortunately, we don't have those here. They're way that way, thank goodness. If they weren't, I'd be carrying a rifle. If there was polar bears around here, I'd be carrying a rifle all the time. You'd never see me without a rifle in polar bear country, not ever. Yeah. But fortunately, we don't have them down here, which is good. Right, I will roll those logs over again and burn them off a bit more. See, that's how I've got them. I got them all set up like that, one up on top of the other. What I'm going to do is now is roll them around so they're around the other way, and that will burn the other log out, and then most of that will just be coals by the time I finish breaking it up. Right, let me get on with that. That's how to leave a campfire. Absolutely soaked down. Soaked it down. I've waited about another 20 minutes or so since I soaked it down, and as you can see there's puddles of water everywhere. Always poke holes in the ground too, just to let some of the water into the ground. As I've said before, there are literally bucketfuls. There's about 3 or 4 bucketfuls of inert clay and what have you underneath this fire pit. That there's nothing in there, and it was down onto like almost bedrock underneath here before I actually built the fire site. A little bit of warmth in the stones, like just about enough to put your hands on. I've got a pine needle right in the middle of my back. There you go, got it. Pine needles are a pain in the rear end. Right, everything put away, everything tidied up, everything good. Most important thing, make sure your campfire is out. The end of the stick I've been poking the fire with, absolutely soaked down. That's my fire pokey stick. And that is how you leave the campfire. And as you can see, the sun has now come out, the wind is up, the grey clouds have cleared, which is very nice. So I'm going to use that as my closeout shot, and I'm going to head out of here. Thank you very much for coming along.